Hello everyone, news from the lagoonies, you know what I mean, and of course this volcanic eruption has kept them from reopening for such a long time, so the fear is large. When can we open? They wanted to open basically right away, but that was basically impossible. That lava was coming at it, but despite the fact they wanted to open, but how would they be able to get the people into the Blue Lagoon with the major access road Grindavik-Vegur completely destroyed by lava flow? And that's the road where you're coming from Keflavik Airport, from Reykjavik. This is where all the tourists come to the Blue Lagoon, and then further down to Grindavik. But yeah, of course, they're creative. We will hear about the eruption and what's going on there. So there's a lot of interesting news, but let's talk about the lagoonies first. So the idea is now bus trips. You've heard that before. I've reported about this, but now it seems the lagoonies are getting the full experience, the full package. So they want to bus them out of Grindavik, ta-da! So they can look at Grindavik and then they can go right on top of the magma chamber where the magma is coming from that is erupting at the eruption site in the Sutnuka crater series. So isn't that great? The full volcanic package, and you can swim in a heated lake, an artificial lake that is heated because there's a volcano underneath. That's why there's a geothermal power plant, and the Blue Lagoon is basically using the wastewater, the hot, clean wastewater, rich in minerals, so good for your body until something else might happen that might not be so favorable, right? So they need to open that place back up. It's a major moneymaker for Iceland. So Grindavik-Vegur is a no-go, no way that tourists could go there on their own with their cars or anything. So they need bus tours. But how are they going to do this from Grindavik? Because how are they going to get to the Blue Lagoon? Because Grindavik-Vegur, they would have to cross that area with the lava flow. So also there's another little road. There's the Northern Lights Inn. That's another hotel that is not directly where the Blue Lagoon is, but a little bit further away, and there is an access road, and you see this here on the map. The plan is now that the Blue Lagoon, as an exception, how I understand it, would be able to use the work of the Fraggle Rock guys, of all these guys that are building the defense walls, are repairing the roads, so that those guys would help the reservoir to get open and resume operations. So that will be a temporary operation. They're making this clear. So a geoengineer at EFLA says the aim is to open Grindavik-Vegur to public traffic on December 15th. But that is late for the Blue Lagoon, right? They need to find a way earlier. And what the engineer basically says, that they want to get some work machines across Grindavik-Vegur very, very soon. So they're already working on that, but not for any other people, because they will definitely disturb the work. So it's impossible to push away lava rocks, hot lava, while there's cars driving around. So no way. So if that road is accessible, it will just be an unconditional opening for everyone, but that is further out. So what's the plan then? The aim is to use that road that goes around the Northern Lights Inn. I think it's, if you translate, it's the Northern Lights Road. I'm not even trying to pronounce this right. Nordur-Vegur. It's not accessible to all vehicles right now, but the idea is then that the Blue Lagoon uses the buses to get on that road and get the people to the Blue Lagoon. So far that the Northern Lights Road has been also used for work vehicles that are trying to repair all that damage that lava carpet has done. So for them, it's also not convenient to have any tourist activity driving around there while they're working with these big machines, the dozers and everything. So plan is visitors into buses, either from Reykjavik, or they would come to Grindavik by themselves. via Sudöstrandervegur or Nesvegur. These are the two roads that basically go into Grindavik from west and east. So I think most of them will come from the west because they're coming from Keflavik, Reykjavik. This is where a lot of tourists are staying. And again, they can look at Grindavik and then they can get the other experience. So they're not planning to build an extra road for the Blue Lagoon as it seems. And I mean, look at that picture. They started a week ago to kind of reconstruct Grindavíkurvegur again, but that's how it still looks. I mean, that lava carpet is like 5 meters high on average. So in some areas higher, in some areas lower, but this is a lot of rocks. So you see the two cars that are standing on what's left of Grindavíkurvegur, and then you see how tall that lava carpet is, that lava rock barrier that has flowed over Grindavíkurvegur. So that's a massive job for these guys. So the manager of the Blue Lagoon, Helga Anasdottir, has given a statement. She says the Blue Lagoon will be closed until next weekend. Well, that's just a few days, so I don't know how they want to pull this off. She says no final decision has been reached on the matter, but she says this with the buses is certainly one of the possibilities that has been discussed, to use these roads and do it like that. She says we're in good conversation and cooperation with the relevant authorities and partners at all times. In terms of opening or further closure, it will become clearer at the end of the day after a meeting with the response parties. So that was today. So I'd be surprised if they can open on the weekend, but they have made this happen in the past. So it's important for them. This thing needs to be open. The tourists need to be in there, pay money. And then let's talk about the eruption, because that's the reason for all the trouble, right? Now the eruption has been going on for a little over 2 weeks already. It's been 2 weeks. Wow. So that's the 6th eruption in 2024 and the 7th eruption overall since everything began with a magma intrusion, a large magma intrusion on November 10th in 2023. For those of you who don't know, magma intrusion is magma gets out of the magma chamber, travels underground, but doesn't find a way to erupt to the surface. So the activity in the eruption has been quite stable for over a week. So it seems the flow was balanced. What was coming out of the deeper magma reservoir flowing into the magma chamber was flowing right out. Also, they don't see any signs of deformation, neither a subsidence or a land rise. Again, a land rise would indicate that the magma chamber is already refilling for the next eruption. So they're estimating that this eruption might go on even for a few more weeks. So it could become the longest eruption that has happened since everything began. We don't know. We have to see. And overall, what the scientists are saying, there are absolutely no signs that would indicate that these series of eruptions in the Sudnuka crater series would come to an end. So after this one, they certainly expect another one. There's one crater still active, that's the northernmost crater, and that still keeps going. The risk that is there if that crater is collapsing into itself, because that could send a more rapid lava flow on the way again. I mean, you know, we've talked about this. Sometimes underwater volcanoes collapse and they send out a tsunami wave. It's not going to be that bad because there's not that much lava coming out again. So it is probably not a risk that a rapid, fast lava flow would reach any infrastructure or damage anything. But guys, with this volcano, that volcano has told us quite often, hold my beer, I'll show you. So we never know, but it's not very likely that any infrastructure might be at risk at this time. The only problem that we have is if that crater collapses, the lava could change the flow direction. So right now it's basically flowing southeast, and it could flow west again towards Swartsengi. And then, okay, if it changes flow direction and this crater keeps erupting for a few more weeks, lava could slowly creep towards Swartsengi again, who knows. And then there's been various gas pollution over Grindavik towards the capital, like everywhere. It changes with the wind. It can change from day to day, from hour to hour. So people have to be really, really careful if they're in the area. what just came in this morning about the activity of the eruption, they said there might be a sign that it's slowing down a little bit. That's what the Icelandic Meteorological Office is stating, but they're not 100% sure. So we will have to see. But one interesting press release that we've seen from MBL, and that's another interesting picture that is available through the USGS. There you can see again, you know, everything's black and then you see these lava flows. This is how far it was flowing, and you see where the Blue Lagoon is, how surrounded that was. And while that was happening, the lagoonies wanted to open up again. Enjoy your swim. Interesting. Maybe you have seen my video about the Tal volcano in Indonesia. That's an interesting volcano. That is basically a volcano with a lake in the middle, and the volcano itself is inside of a lake on an island that is in the water. So that one has produced quite an interesting eruption. Check that video out, and it's possible to swim in that lake in the volcanic crater. So I mentioned in that video that would be something while the Blue Lagoon is closed for the lagoonies to go there and also have a little bit of a thrill, a volcanic thrill. But honestly, guys, aside from joking, really this image shows, you know, where the craters were, these three craters, and the one in the middle that was sending the lava to the Blue Lagoon is not active anymore. Only the northern one that is sending it towards Fagradalsfjall at the moment. So yeah, guys, quick update from Iceland. I'm still in the RV. If you want to know what I'm doing, check out my playlist here. I'll put the whole playlist at the end of the video. My RV trip to save my dog's life, Apollo's life. He needs radiation therapy. And guys, thank you so much for helping me towards his vet bills, because yeah, that is really crazy. And we kind of basically left on that trip not knowing how we're going to do this down the road. So it helps so much, guys. Thank you so much for your supers and for your coffees that you keep sending me on my buymeacoffee.com/silky site. If you want to help Apollo, thank you. Go to the site, check it out, and register for free as a follower. I'll send you emails if there's an interesting eruption going on in Iceland, so we can stay connected. And yeah, I'm having a coffee right now. And I have another interesting video that I want to record right after this one. So stay tuned, guys. Stay safe. I see you soon. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.